Call this regular city council meeting to order. First thing we're going to have is a moment of silence, and then we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Dixon. All right, thank you.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Mayor Jones.
Here.
Vice Mayor Nunn.
Here.
Councilmember Dixon.
Here.
Councilmember Dodd.
Here.
And Councilmember McPartland.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Council, there's, we have one agenda change. On page 3, we had 2 Fs from page 2. The bottom of page 2, there was an F. So at the top of page 3, the first 3 are going to be G, H, and I.
Correct.
Are there any other agenda modifications? Hearing none, we'll move on to, there's no proclamations, but we do have some brief announcements. Vice Mayor Nunn, would you please read those?
Yes. Announcements. October 27th. You hear a lot of reverb?
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of reverb right now. City of Sebastian and the Sebastian Police Department. The Halloween celebration at Riverview Park. Contest registration begins at 5:30 p.m. Trunk or treat begins at 5:30 p.m. The costume contest begins at 6:15 p.m. And the movie night out, Hotel Transylvania, begins at 7:15 p.m. The 20th annual Sebastian Clam Bake Lagoon Festival in the Riverview Park. Friday, November 3rd from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday, November 4th from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Sunday, November 5th from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. November 11th, Veterans Day observance at Veterans Memorial in Riverview Park. Also, the City Hall will be closed that day. The memorial service is at 11 a.m. The next City Council meeting will be November 15th.
All right, thank you so much for that. Next thing on our agenda is public input, and this is anything that's not on the current agenda. And just for clarification purposes, we will not be doing any politicking. So anyone wish to speak on the public input for anything that's not on the current agenda, please come forward. Do we have anybody on Zoom?
No one has raised their hand.
Come on, sir. Fred. Yeah. No, come on up, sir.
Frank Nolan, and I'm sure, you know, when you asked that question at the forum on homelessness and affordable housing, you knew who that came from. Bob had mentioned that we don't talk about seniors, and that there were several seniors down in St. Lucie County. I want you to know there's several seniors here that are sleeping in their cars and everywhere. It's a sad situation. We're trying to help them. There's some seniors that have a place to live that they're pretty close to being homeless. There's one lady, we finally got her food, but she was eating cat food because she couldn't afford anything else. You know, and it's really bad. The first 2 ladies, I'll tell you real quickly, that I found out on the streets, the first one killed me because her daughter kicked her out of her own house because she had Alzheimer's. Now, my mother had Alzheimer's at the same time, and my sister did a great job taking care of her. The other one was sleeping on park benches because her son-in-law didn't like her, and he gave his wife a choice. She goes or I go, so she kicked her mom out. You know, so there's a lot of things going on that we need to try to get our foot down and do something to help people. The senior resources, where my sister is assistant to Karen, the CEO, they get phone calls every day about homeless people. Seniors almost homeless or on the streets. So there's a lot more than was mentioned by Bob in this area. Now, I have asked and talked to you all about setting up programs because you all mentioned good programs, but they're in Vero. You know, and so people here, not just the homeless, but people that need help have to take the GO line. The last GO line leaves Vero at 6 p.m. So let's say they go to the Mental Health Association, which is a great organization, know some of the great people that work there. It takes between 2.5 hours on your first visit. So let's say they miss the bus, the last bus. Where are they going to sleep? They going to call U5 to come and get them? You know, I mean, it's a long walk, and if you can't afford food, you don't have the $35 to pay for Uber or Lyft to take you home. I know this because, as you all know, I walked everywhere until 3 months ago when I started driving again. But we have to do something, and I've mentioned about having programs here. I have a couple of organizations that are willing to talk to me, and maybe we will do something here. But it's something that has to be done to help, again, not just the homeless, but people in trouble. And as far as the affordable home, am I done?
No, go ahead.
I thought, all right, besides affordable housing, you know, a few years ago, the city had a seminar on narcan and mental health. I think that you need to have that again, and I think you need to have the difference on affordable housing in Section 8, because so many people think affordable housing is Section 8. It's not even close to it. You know, and yes, I've heard you all say that teachers, first responders, nurses need it, but everybody needs affordable housing. Heck, I moved to get out of the crazy place I was living at, and I'm paying triple. But I'm willing to do that just for my little sanity that I have left. You know, so we really need to, we need help. We need to get affordable housing. We need to do something to help people. It's getting ridiculous. You know, the nurses right now, look at what's happening at the hospital. A lot of them losing their jobs. I've been in stores where last Christmas, a mom and daughter were crying because they couldn't buy a Christmas tree. Well, somebody bought them a Christmas tree. People, you know, you see people struggling, they can't buy some food. So somebody bought them some food. And as the mothers leave, they go, "We hate you." And I said, "Yeah, but you love me anyways." So it works out. You know, but we really, you know, I appreciate your emails several months ago said that you respect what I do. But the talking needs to stop and the walk has to start walking. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Is there anybody else? Yes, ma'am, come up.
Good evening, Patty Sullivan. A couple of things I had mentioned to a couple of you just when I've seen you in the community. Just wanted to bring to your attention two things. My father-in-law passed away. He lived with us for 10 years over the summer. And so when we buried him in June, we flew up to New York. It just got our family thinking, so we went ahead and bought family plots here in the Sebastian Cemetery. So, because this is our home, this is where we're planted, this is where we want to be buried. You know, no matter, I don't plan on moving ever again, but this is where we want to be. And today we just solidified our monument, and hopefully that'll be done in December. So this is our home. And so during that time when we were buying our plots, just recently I drove through the cemetery a couple different times, and there happened to be people there, I believe, you know, obviously grieving their loved ones, which I intentionally did not interrupt that, but they were parked up on where the grave areas were 2 different times. And it wasn't just one car, it was multiple cars. It seemed like it was very, it wasn't festive, but there were ice chests, okay? And there were alcoholic beverages going on. So I think people need to be able to grieve. I think they need to be able to visit their loved ones in the cemetery. I don't know if there's a code that keeps people from pulling up where graves are, or possibly where that near the headstones, there are some areas that are open areas, but some of those are unmarked graves. Actually, I was there today, and somebody pointed out an unmarked grave that's kind of centered between, it doesn't look like, anything's there. So that's kind of a concern that I have. I did not call the police. I did not do anything. I didn't want to interrupt what was happening because obviously they were grieving. But I don't know what can be done about that, but if people shouldn't be parking on the actual grass of the cemetery close to these headstones because they may be driving over somebody's grave. So it's a concern. I don't know how to handle that. I did speak to Joe about it as well. So that's the one thing. And the other thing was Sebastian Saltwater, across the street from that where Jackson Street is, there is a sign. I frequent that restaurant quite a bit. There's a sign that for Jackson Street at the exit area, but not coming in. And I cannot tell you how many people we have almost, hit, trying to turn because they're walking as if it is a parking lot, but it's also a street with the exit. So I don't know if something can be done with that because it's just a matter of time before somebody has some kind of accident and gets ran over with that. So that would be something for you to consider, and I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you so much, ma'am. Mr. Benton, you have notes on that, correct? All right, is there anyone else? Yes, sir, come up.
I just have two things.
Your name first for the record, sir?
Bill Flynn, I live on Main Street.
Thank you.
I had a very good interaction with our code enforcement officer. I was able to educate him on bees. He was responsive. I sent him an email. I'm waiting for a call back. But I was very impressed with his conduct and the way the whole thing came. The other thing, a couple people have been asking me about the drainage study, and I'm hearing that it possibly isn't as complete as we had hoped. And I just want to know when we're going to get an update on that and when the possible completion, or is this another thing that maybe Paul dropped the ball on and didn't finish?
All right, thank you, sir. That's it.
Thank
you very much. Do we have anyone on Zoom?
No one has raised their hand at this time.
All right, thank you. Public input's closed. Next item on our agenda, council, is consent agenda. How do we want to proceed?
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of items A through I.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Vice Mayor Nunn.
Yes.
Councilmember Dixon.
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Yes.
And Mayor Jones.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, next item on our agenda is item 9, committee reports. Does anyone have any committee reports? Yes, sir.
Yeah, had our Affordable Housing Advisory Committee meeting. It's a county meeting that has members of each one of the municipalities, plus the county and other nonprofits and other organizations related to affordable housing. It was a very good meeting. We talked about our priorities and objectives. Something they would like to hear from the city of Sebastian is what incentives would we like to see from a code basis? So in other words, something that would be built into our county code that would be incentive-based to bring builders to Indian River County to build affordable housing, things we're trying to do for incentives. So I don't know if that's something, Mr. City Manager, we can add to a discussion item here in the near future, but incentives that we'd like to see as a city, something that we think we could do as well as what that we'd like to see the county do to incentivize bringing affordable housing. And like Frank had said, affordable housing doesn't mean Section 8. And I know everybody always says teachers, police officers, and workers, and I know it's the idea of that is just to give a face to the people that we're talking about, but trust me, like he said, it's everybody. It's not just those people, but having a place where people can afford to live in a wonderful city like this and call it home is important, and that's one of the objectives of the Affordable Housing Committee. Now, low-income housing is also an objective of that committee, so if we could get builders to come to Indian River County, they would like to know what incentives we'd like to talk about. That's it.
All right, thank you. And also, we had the beach and shoreline this week, and if anybody, I'm pretty sure everybody has noticed that we had one boat taken out there at Mel Fisher's. That was taken care of by the Beach and Shoreline Preservation Committee from the county that I sit on that board. We also had one moved out of the St. Sebastian River as well. And there's a few other boats that are out there that we're currently working on and getting those things removed, but we have to go through Fish and Wildlife, FWC. But we are working diligently to get those other derelict vessels removed from the lagoon, so.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
This morning, Councilmember Dixon and I, and Bob, you picked a great meeting to not be able to go to.
I had a feeling about
Yeah.
that. I had to go to Palm
We
Beach.
attended the MPO. I won't talk about the Twin Pairs problem that we spent a lot of time and a lot of aggravation on. But the one important thing was we approved the 5-year FDOT project plan this morning. That includes 8 projects for the Sebastian Airport in the next 3 years that totals $5,300,000 worth of FDOT money that's going to go to the Sebastian Airport for projects at the airport over that period of time. It's a pretty nice. That doesn't count the Sebastian impact on the 510 widening, on 82nd Avenue widening, and so forth. I didn't include any of that in there, but Sebastian will receive quite a bit of an impact on that, millions of dollars worth of an impact. So the airport's going to get a pretty good share of the FDOT money between the 2 airports in the county. It's a good deal for Sebastian. So, and we didn't solve the Twin Pairs problem at all, so.
Yeah, I can only imagine, right?
They did like comparing our stretch of US 1 though, a lot.
Well, there were a lot of people interested in the fact that we have parallel parking on US 1, which they want to put on the Twin Pairs, and so, you know, whether it was a good thing or a bad thing was not decided, so.
That's a big headache for them in Vero on that, isn't it?
Yeah.
God, it's not us.
All right, did you have
Thank you,
anything else to add to that, Ms. Dixon?
Nope.
No? Mr. McPartland? You weren't at that meeting, so you're good. All right, so the next, we have item 10, there's no public hearing. Item 11, there's no unfinished business. Under new business, we're gonna have Ms. Holly Hamilton come forward, please. This is item 12A. Who do you have with you, Rhonda?
I have John
Okay, there,
and Sydney.
okay.
I'll introduce them. All right, thank you. Good evening, and thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. My name is Holly Hamilton, and I'm the Senior State President of the Florida Society of Children of the American Revolution. The CAR's mission is to train good citizens, develop leaders, and promote the love of the United States of America and its heritage among young people. The organization has many objects. The ones we are focusing on here is to ascertain the deeds and honors, the memories of the men, women, and children who rendered service to the cause of the American Revolution, and to promote the celebration of patriotic anniversaries. I have been in this position since 2020, and I am pictured here with James Hamilton, Sydney Regard. James was state president 2022 to 2023. Sydney Regard, state president from 2021 to 2022, and Sydney Wagstrom, our current state president. Sydney Regard, who is here with me today, also most recently served as the national vice president of the Southeastern region. You may recognize James and Sydney Regard as they are members of this community and active in the local Treasure Coast Society. We are thankful for the many proclamations over the years and the mutual relationship that we have with the city. Also joining me is Rhonda Regard, the Senior State Treasurer for the CAR, and you may also know her as the local Pelican Island Chapter, DAR Chapter Regent. Many hats we serve. Today we are here to petition the city for a permission to place a commemorative marker celebrating the America 250 initiative.
The America 250 initiative commemorates the 250th anniversary of the United States, and all activities continue through 2027. The commemoration period began in 2020, culminates on July 4th, 2026, and officially concludes in 2027. Other organizations, such as the Daughters of the American Revolution, Sons of the American Revolution, and many other groups are participating with the America 250 program, seeking to commemorate this anniversary. One such initiative is to place commemorative plaques and markers honoring those that helped to achieve American independence. This is the one the DAR is placing.
We are seeking to have a boulder with a granite plaque similar to the size of this one. We will be working with Feldner's Studio out of Fellsmere, who has been providing memorials and gravestones since 1987. They are already familiar with the Veterans Park and Riverview Park, as they made the POW MIA one that was placed just recently. Our plaque will have the CAR insignia on the top, where the DAR one is located on this photo. The memorial is proposed to be placed at the Veterans Memorial Park at Riverview Park in Sebastian. Here's a photo of the CAR insignia. We have been granted permission from the national organization to use it on our memorial.
We are using a boulder, as stones and boulders have been used since biblical times to remember people and events. They are a permanent marker of a remembrance, and using a boulder adds significance to the importance of remembering the fight for independence and the patriots that gave their lives and fortunes for that fight. Here's another possible workup of what the boulder would look like. Here's the proposed wording. This marker commemorates the men, women, and children who achieved American independence. These patriots, believing in the noble cause of liberty, fought valiantly to found a new nation, 1775 to 1781, presented by the Florida Society Children of the American Revolution in honor of the 250th anniversary of the United States.
The time frame is to have it installed before or during 2026. The actual goal is to have it ready and installed in 1 year. The next step is for the city to approve the marker being placed at the Veterans Park. Once that is approved, we will work with the city to secure a suitable location in that park. A final design will be presented before fabrication, and once finalized, we will have an installation and a big ceremony. Thank you for your support. Are there any questions?
No, ma'am. Thank you. I know. Anybody else? I think, what do we do? We didn't do with this, Brian, because this is, if we approve this to go forward from here, it still has to go back to the Veterans Council for the location and then come back to us whether that location is suitable or not.
That is correct. So what I think we're asking for direction from tonight is whether or not this council agrees with the idea, agrees with the monument being placed down in that general area. And then what we will then do is determine a suitable location based on their request, take it back to the Veterans Committee at their next meeting, and then it will then come back to you all with a location at that time. The reason we're asking for kind of approval at this point without a location is that, you know, they have to get approval from their national organizations to use the insignia and stuff, and they needed kind of support from the council in order to go to that step prior to a location being determined.
So they can also start fundraising for it too,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I move approval.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
No.
No, Bob?
Well, when I seen the project, I was happy. And it made me a little nostalgic, because I remembered the 200th anniversary.
Yeah.
Because I was in New York, and we went down, and I believe that's the first time that Macy's went all out with their fireworks show. So I can't believe it's been 50 since then. So that, what I would love to see, but again, this wouldn't be on you, this would probably be more the Veterans Committee. I would love to see two Revolutionary War cannons flanking either side of the stone.
You mean as permanently there?
Like permanently, you know, and the significance of it. Or quite possibly, I don't know if you would entertain, maybe there's somebody else, I was thinking of a time capsule. Because again, I'm thinking back 1976, and that's basically almost 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't even born then.
I know.
I wasn't.
Just kidding.
But great idea, and thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we envision a big celebration with the different organizations. We would have a color guard there in colonial attire, and
great.
It'll be a big celebration for the city as well. We we were part of the placement of them at the Veterans Memorial Park in Merritt Island. The DAR just recently placed one there. And it was a really big time. They do it with the last naval battle commemoration. So because the last naval battle happened right off of our coast and we don't have very many battles from the American Revolution in Florida, that is why we were seeking to do it in Sebastian. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you ladies so much. Anything else from council? Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Dixon?
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Mayor Jones?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Nunn?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much.
All right, moving on to item 12B. City Attorney.
Resolution number R-23-33, a resolution of the City of Sebastian, Indian River County, Florida, adopting updated fees and procedures for obtaining permits to use certain recreational parks and facilities, providing for conflicts, providing for scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date.
All right, thank you so much for that. Mr. Benton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the council had given us some direction to go back and kind of assess the fees that we charge to rent Riverview Park, the community center, yacht club, and our picnic pavilions. If you remember about a year or 2 years ago, we had reviewed our fees for the tennis courts at Friendship Park. At that time, we did pickleball, we did athletic field rental fees under a separate resolution. So we felt it was appropriate to come back at this time and under this resolution only address the items that you all requested, Riverview Park, Community Center, Yacht Club, and the pavilions. So with that, we present resolution number R-23-33 for your consideration tonight. If you have any questions on the fees and how they were established, we basically went out and did some surveys of neighboring communities. It's hard because it's never apples to apples. You know, nowhere, in my opinion, has a location quite like Riverview Park. It's a great location, and comparing that to somewhere else just isn't feasible. So we did our best to address these fees. This was presented to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee on Monday night, and they did make a recommendation to advance this resolution along to you all for your consideration at tonight's meeting.
All right, thank you, Mr. Benton. But I listened to that meeting, but can you also share so that everyone here that may not have listened to the Parks and Recreation, because there were some questions about the events that are also city-sponsored?
Yes, so quite a few questions came up from the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee meeting. So I'll kind of go through those as I remember they came up. One was, are these fees going to affect our large special events that take place in the park? So we currently have our large special events that we have: Clam Bake, Fine Arts and Music Festival, River Days and Craft Brew Hullabaloo, Brew Fest, and 4th of July, along with concert in the park with Chamber of Commerce. Those events, we have contracts with each of those entities, so these fees are not associated with those events because we have separate contracts with them. These fees would strictly be nonprofit organizations or third-party for-profit organizations that come to the city to rent the park, whether it's for a park event, which is less than 300 people, or a special event, which is more than 300 people, would be assessed these fees. And then any rentals that we don't currently have agreements or contracts with in regards to the yacht club or community center. So I hope that clarifies that question. They also had a question in regard, I know they had some discussion about our fee for the special events at Riverview Park in this resolution is increased from $200 a day plus tax. We're increasing it to $800 per day plus tax. The committee, a few of the committee members kind of agreed that that probably wasn't enough. And so, you know, I realized that might still be a little low. However, like I said, when we did our market analysis, we felt like this was a reasonable amount to increase. The last time this resolution was done was back in 2010. So it has been a long time since these fees have been addressed. But that's where we came up with that number, and that's the explanation that was given to that committee as well. And I will say this, as far as the indoor rental facilities, the community center and the yacht club, the community center is pretty much rented every single weekend of the year for events. I think there's very few weekends that we do not have a rental. And then also the yacht club is in the kind of the same situation where it's rented daily and as we move along onto the weekends as well. So those are highly rented facilities. And these fees will help us to continue to improve those facilities. We just did a large improvement at the yacht club. That facility, the entire interior was altered and changed and kind of spruced up, cleaned up, and we're getting ready to paint the exterior here in the coming weeks. That'll happen as well. So that'll upgrades at that facility, and then we did some planned upgrades last year at the community center as well, and we'll have some additional future ones as we move forward.
All right, thank you so much for that, sir. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this? Do we have anyone on Zoom?
Not at this time.
Okay, public input's closed. Mr. Benton, do you have any final summation, or you're good?
I'm good, sir.
All right, council, do we have any questions? Anyone?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Benton, how do we cover, is AA still meeting down at the yacht club? And then they hold the New Year's Day, the 24-hour of meetings? Because I don't think they fall under a nonprofit with the 501c3.
Yeah, so we have a kind of a little bit of a separate agreement with them. They do currently meet in the mornings at the yacht club, and then a separate group meets in the evenings at the yacht club. And then, as you mentioned, they do have their Thanksgiving 24-hour get-together, and then they have their Christmas 24-hour get-together at the community center. They do pay a reduced rate for their usage of the yacht club. And then the community center, that typically comes before you all for consideration, which will be at the next meeting, for you all to waive those fees with that. And it's the same thing with any of these groups that, community groups can request the waiving of fees. That's within the resolution, and we allow that to request the city council. But they do have a separate fee arrangement at the yacht club.
Right, because I remember it comes before us for the 24-hour ones, but we've never had, like, is there an agreement for the regular meetings that happen during the week?
Yes, there's a kind of a grandfathered older agreement for those that, I know, for instance, Sebastian Property Owners Association has usage of the yacht club free of charge. That was in a former resolution. The groups, the AA groups, and there's a couple others like a Lunch Bunch group and a couple others that have kind of grandfathered agreements from years past that these fees will not affect them.
Okay,
I'll say that.
all right. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
All right.
It's interesting is, do we need to go through those old ones and on a staff basis make recommendations to cancel or update or anything?
I mean, if that's the recommendation of this committee, of the council, we can go back and kind of look at each one of those individually. I know from a staffing, it gets a little bit difficult on our staff because, well, this group, what fee do we charge them? What do we charge them? And we have to kind of, our staff. Now, Ron does a great job. He knows where those agreements and arrangements are. But when someone new comes into that position, it's always, what are these agreements and these little things? So if it's you all's wish, we can kind of formalize those a little bit better and then see what direction you all want us to take with those. But they do have usage of the facility on a daily basis. For speaking of the AA group specifically.
I was going to say that specifically those, they're a deep-seated community service group. They are doing a very important service for our local residents, and I wouldn't want to see them, they don't make money, so whatever they're paying is coming out of their pockets personally, probably for the most part. Probably the people that are holding the meetings are probably actually paying the fees, so I wouldn't even be opposed to eliminating or reducing those fees unless they're already really, really low. But I think having something on the books isn't a bad idea, but it's probably a good idea to look at in my opinion, the other contracts that are there, the other agreements that may or may not need to exist anymore. I think you could probably look through those and see what needs to come back, and if it needs to come to us, then it can. I mean, I feel comfortable with that from my perspective. That would be up to everybody else to say.
Yeah, it's not a problem to bring it back, yeah.
Yeah, because we might be able to kind of lump them into different categories.
Right. But for now, we've got to get through this part.
Absolutely.
So we had a motion and second. Any other discussion?
I'll say thank you also for reevaluating these. I was one of the ones that wanted to bring this up because it seemed like our fees were really low, and there were a lot of for-profits using our park on the weekends, and they were getting essentially nonprofit prices. So it's good that the prices are reflecting a little more in the staff manpower that's required to maintain those parks. So thank you for getting this done. And I move to approve Resolution R23-33.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Just, Mr. Mayor, this isn't, there's a scrivener's error on this, on the,
What page?
transmittal page. It's got R 2322, or 32 in the recommendation thing instead of 33. It's not a big deal, but
Okay.
I don't know if it needs to be amended for the record or not.
What page is that on?
On the transmittal. Agenda item R 2333, recommendation approve R 2332. So it just needs to be correct, scrivener's error. Okay.
Okay. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nunn?
Yes.
And Councilmember Dixon?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, very good. We're going to move on to item C. Mr. Benton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is a request from, honestly, city manager's office, city clerk's office, and the city attorney's office, all kind of put together. This is an agenda transmittal software. It will greatly improve our efficiency throughout the city in how our department heads submit their transmittals for review, how they track the review that takes place, hopefully eliminate some of these scrivener's errors that have happened. So it's a great resource for internal use, but I also want to highlight some of the good things external that it's going to help with as well. So currently, when our agenda is sent out to the public and it's posted on the website, it's posted with all 261 pages there. And if you want to go to page 33, you've either got to scroll to page 33 or you've got to type in 33 into the page numbers. With this software, it will now basically hyperlink the attachments for every agenda item. So the agenda will get posted, 3 to 4 pages of an agenda. You'll then go to the item that you want to see. You'll click the link. It'll take you to the supporting documents of that. When you're done with that supporting documents, you go back to the agenda page, and you can go to any other item that you want to look at. So that's one positive thing. The second one is that our recording, whenever it's being recorded, if you go back to watch it on the city's website, you have to either watch the whole thing, or if you're looking for a specific section, you've got to scroll through it and try to find where they started conversations on the specific items. So with this new software, we'll be able to bookmark when an agenda item starts and bookmark when it ends, so that when you go onto the city's website and look to watch the replay of the meetings, you can click a link that'll take you specifically to the agenda item that you want to see. Wow. If you want to watch the whole thing, great, you get to watch the whole meeting, but otherwise you can click it and go to the specific item that you want to watch on the agenda. So with that, staff obviously recommends approval. This is a piggyback of an Omnia Partners NCPA contract in a total cost of $26,092.29 for 3 years.
All right, thank you, sir. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this item? Do we have anyone on Zoom?
No one has raised their hand.
All right, public input's closed. Council, any questions or comments or motion?
I was going to mention that I noticed when I started talking about it and was talking to the IT department about the software, first of all, it's a cloud software, which is good. It means less management from our local IT perspective. It means that it gets updated more often without as much involvement, so that's good. It's also the software that St. Lucie County uses for their agendas and Indian River County uses for their agendas as well. So we're using something that's very, very common in the market. So this is a great move to help solve some of our agenda problems, and very excited. With that, I'll make an approval to approve the piggyback of Omnia Partners NPCA contract 01-115 for a total of $26,092.29 for a 3-year subscription.
All right, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that because I really appreciated getting the agenda even a day sooner than we normally do.
Exactly.
And more time to read.
You see what I was talking about, Brian? There you go. We appreciate it a lot sooner than we have been getting them,
Yes.
so yes, absolutely. Any other discussion from council?
Now, this isn't gonna stop the clerk from putting page numbers on our agenda, is it?
What?
No.
So the agendas that you all receive, the agendas you all receive, you'll still receive your packet, your booklet with page numbers the same.
I just bring that up because trying to find something in the printed county agenda is very difficult.
Yeah.
It's very easy, and a thank you for that.
Yes. All right, roll call, Madam Clerk?
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nunn?
Yes.
Councilmember Dixon?
Yes.
And Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you.
All right, moving on to item D, Mr. Benton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So item D is the purchase of a 2023 Ram 2500 cargo van in the amount of $53,087.84. This is for our Public Facilities Department. It was budgeted in this fiscal year. The existing van is a 2012 with around 74,000 miles on it. This van is used by the Public Facilities Department to transport material, janitorial supplies around the city to all of our bathrooms, a lot of bathroom chemicals and stuff that are located in that van. Over the years, just had spills, leakages that have resulted in some substantial rust inside the van, but then also exterior as well in the wheel wells. And we did our research and looked at what it would cost to repair, and then looking at the year model of the van, kind of weighed the positives and negatives of trying to repair it. And we just felt that it was best in this year's budget to purchase a new vehicle. So that is what is before you all today, is the purchase from Step One Automotive Group for this van.
Right, so this van does have more ability to do other things because the height inside is taller inside than the original van that we have, so it allows more flexibility for the department.
That is correct. So the existing van has what's considered a lower roof, and basically how that kind of comes into play is the new one will have a higher roof, but it won't be that substantially higher. It's going to have kind of a lower base to it as well, so that we do get an extended height in the bed of that van for the usage of our staff and for their materials for the Public Facilities Department.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this? Anyone on Zoom?
No, at this time.
Public input's closed. Ms. Dixon?
Is there some kind of floor protectant we can put on it so we don't have this rust issue again?
Yes, so we budgeted $63,000 for this van. Obviously, this purchase is substantially less than that budgeted amount. The reason we included in a budget was the upfitting of the inside. Okay. So we will put a protective covering, kind of like a spray and bed liner type material in the back of the van.
Okay.
But then also we will install some cabinetry and things that are needed for our staff to be more efficient inside the van.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other discussion? So we had a motion, right, in a second?
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the van.
Second. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk? Yes.
Mayor Jones? Vice Mayor Nunn?
Yes.
Councilmember Dixon?
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
And Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 12E. Mr. Benton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this resolution is, staff is requesting a dissolution of the Centennial Committee. One of the items, that we deal with in this is, we have kind of, through our plan throughout the year, we've got a good plan for 2024 to celebrate our centennial. At this point, we're at a kind of a situation amongst our staff that we need to move forward and communicate internally and go forward and process the plan that was developed by this committee. So, did you want to?
Mr. Benton, hang on just a second. So, City Attorney, can you go ahead and read the title for us? It's on 2 pages, so I kind of lost track of that, but go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution number R-2331, a resolution of City of Sebastian, Indian River County, Florida, dissolving the City of Sebastian Centennial Task Force, providing for the continuation of organizing the celebration, providing for the repeal of resolution number R-2202, providing for scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date.
All right, thank you so much. Mr. Benton, you can start over now.
I think I'll just continue if it's okay. So at the end of this, you know, what we're asking, and we did have this discussion at our last centennial meeting. The committee and the task force are fully in agreement with this. It was discussed, and we think that it's just the best way to continue to move forward as we move into celebrating our centennial year in the year of 2024, culminating on December 8th, 2024 with our birthday celebration. So we do ask that we dissolve this committee at this time, because we have achieved our mission and achieved those goals to get everything planned and ready to go.
All right, very good, sir. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this? Is there anyone on Zoom?
Not this time.
All right, public inputs, council, deliberation or action, what do we want to do?
First thing on. I think it's a great idea. They met in the sunshine for about a year, a little over a year right now, and they've come up with a pretty good plan, set some stuff up, and it's time to get it out of the sunshine so the staff can go to work and make all that plan take place and happen without having to worry about that. So I think this is a really good thing. I move approval.
Second? All right, so we have a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Vice Mayor Nunn?
Yes.
Councilmember Dixon?
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
And Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, next item, item 13, city attorney matters.
I have nothing.
Thank you so much. City manager.
Thank you, sir. I just have a few things, just a few updates. So one is just a reminder to the public that we have announced the Brightline Florida East Coast Railroad crossing closures. Currently on County Road 512, eastbound and westbound is closed starting today until October 30th. They will also then be coming back and closing down the Main Street Railroad crossing November 15th through November 20th. This is so that they can complete their work, do some additional construction that they needed in order to complete their permits that were required for those projects. Another announcement for the public is that I know you all had received a notice from me on this, but we have formally changed the name of the Leisure Services Department back to Parks and Recreation Department. This was a result of just the simplicity of nationwide, it's Parks and Recreation. People come into the city of Sebastian. They're looking to, on our website or you know, anywhere, they're looking for parks. They're not necessarily looking for leisure services. So to kind of simplify and improve our communication with our residents, we've changed it back to Parks and Recreation Department from Leisure Services. Third thing, we have gone out as of a week and a half ago for an appraisal for the Harbor Lights motel property that you all had requested. So we hope to have that back, and we'll bring it back to you all once for discussion once we get the results of that appraisal. Also, I know it's been discussed a couple of times, but provide an update on our strategic plan. The RFP is out. We have received communication from different vendors because we're in the phase right now where they can continue to ask us questions, and then their submittals are due in early November back to us. We'll then we'll have a committee amongst staff that assesses the bids that we receive back, the proposals we receive, and it'll come back to you all for approval so we can start moving forward on getting this strategic plan developed and adopted in the year of 2024. And I believe that, just want to recognize our police department and Parks and Public Works staff, building department, all of our staff from the city that was on site at the community night out. They all did a great job putting the event together and then going through it and actually functioning with the event. So it was a great night. The weather was awesome, and there was plenty of people out there enjoying their time. So I just want to recognize staff for all their hard work and dedication in making that happen. So that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. City Clerk? All right, Mr. McPartlin.
Yes, you were moving real fast there, Mr. Mayor, before, but on the Centennial Task Force, I want to, thank all the members that were on that board. They did yeoman's work, and if there could be recognition, because this is the dissolution of that task force, certificates, I'm sure you're working on those already, Jeanette, but I mean, they were very important and instrumental in what's going to happen.
They're still going to help us too, so they're still on board. They're going to, throughout the year.
All right, they're not fired with the dissolution. So,
Right,
okay.
right.
And then just to get back to, I was, Thursday morning, I hear garbage trucks running, so I had to run out and take the garbage out. But I almost tripped coming over the packet that was at my house Thursday morning. It's so, I can't tell you how great it is. That's the way it used to be, is getting the packet early on a Thursday, and it gives, as opposed to Friday afternoon when you're in weekend mode. But that extra day and a half or day, and I know you work with the entire staff, making the deadlines earlier so we could do it, and then Jeanette, you and Kathy, putting it all together and getting mailed out. I'm telling you, that's fantastic work. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Mr. Benton, there was a question raised earlier, and I know, I believe we should have the plan coming back to us in December, but on the stormwater master plan, when is that scheduled to come back before council so people know?
So it is currently scheduled for a presentation in December, before you all.
Okay, all right, thank you, sir. All right, who's up? Vice Mayor Nunn.
That's all you got? I want to say thank you to everybody for the opportunity to serve here, and obviously this is the last meeting before the election, and if I'm not here at the end of that, I just want to say thank you. It's been an honor to serve my community.
All right, thank you, sir. Ms. Dixon, can't even see without my glasses.
I hear you. I just want to thank everyone who was involved in Community Night Out. My family really enjoyed themselves. My kids always love, climbing into the sheriff's helicopter. They especially loved our new SWAT vehicle. Let me tell you. My son and husband were amazed how heavy those doors are. And then my son was, so excited that it was a Ford. My kid's he's a Ford man, a little 10-year-old. But anyway, we just really love the event, and we thank everyone for working overtime and making that happen. I think the kids really love that year after year. And then I just wanted to remind everyone to please drive safely and carefully and slowly Halloween night with the trick-or-treaters. Kids will be out and about in their neighborhoods, so just please be safe. It's getting dark rather early, and everyone will be out and about, so please be safe Halloween night. That is all. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Dixon. Mr. Dodd.
Well, I've just got one thing. Recently, I had an opportunity to spend some time with a Cub Scout pack, members of Pack 589, who meet at the Elks Club, and it was an extremely pleasant evening with those 10-year-olds. At sometimes. Actually, they asked better questions than a lot of adults I've dealt with. They were very inquisitive about the problems the city's got, about what the city can do about them. They asked great follow-up questions. You wouldn't believe the follow-up questions they asked about septic to sewer. It's kind of like I was surprised. I'm thinking, wait a minute, these are 10-year-olds, and they were asking really great questions. It reaffirmed my feeling that maybe the country will be okay in the future. So, if these 10-year-olds are typical of what will inherit the country, what's going on right now may just go away sometime. So I want to thank you. I want to thank them for the reception I received, and I was very pleased to do that. So thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dodd, and we're adjourned.